So some of the challenges you will face when trying to do a scalable HTML5 delivery is making players look the same in both HTML5 and Flash. Devin showed a little bit of that a second ago. Controlling player trade-offs. So sometimes you may want to do different things based on the limitations of the device, given the importance of different value propositions for your video being delivered. So I'll go into it in more detail on that slide. And then having quality playback, so that's sort of managing flavor selection and dealing with adaptive solutions, adaptive streaming solutions, and managing per device profiles and feature sets. So sort of similar to the controlling trade-offs, you need to be able to manage what you're going to deliver to what browsers. And the underlying common configuration language for both Flash and HTML5, which is sort of the basis of the Kaltura-based platform for providing dual Flash and HTML5 solutions while maintaining feature parity. Looking at a little bit of an overview of all the analytics and ad providers we've integrated with, and looking at on-page player performance and compatibility, just sort of the nuts and bolts of getting a player out into a lot of different player contexts. One challenge, of course, is the diversity of platforms that you are going to have to try to deliver to. This is a chart that was posted on the understatement.com. It sort of showed the Android fragmentation market and the problems there. It highlights a lot of the challenges you face when trying to deliver a consistent HTML5 experience across all these different platforms that may be in different states of support, and they may be a few versions behind the current release. This is similar with browsers, but it's getting a lot better in the browser space now, where we have these constant updates being pushed out. And I think we'll see this situation hopefully becoming less painful in the near future. So I was going to take a quick look at sort of the technical overview of how theming works within the Kaltura platform. We have sort of a player studio GUI where you set up the basic player elements and features. You then associate CSS or Swift files with that player. This gets translated into sort of an XML intermediary format, or is the basis format that the player GUI writes to. And then you can also do manual editing of that XML if you need high-level degrees of customization. And in the end, you get sort of a player that looks the same in both HTML5 and Flash after you've tweaked the CSS and to make it the same. Overall, this enables sort of a robust theme control. It makes it easier to manage player features across both HTML5 and Flash. As mentioned in the overview, you want to be in control of HTML5 trade-offs. So you don't always have, so devices have various limitations, and being informed about them enables you to make those trade-off choices. By default, we try to make best guesses at what would be the ideal experience for every platform, and we have that all laid out. But sometimes it comes down to choosing something different for a particular brand or particular site. You might value one view versus another. So for example, the native versus HTML controls on iPad, I'm sure if anybody's worked in that environment, they're familiar with this basic limitation that the full screen mode within a player on an iPad will only be within the browser window, and it won't enable you the same sort of edge-to-edge video presentation that you can get if you use the native HTML5 controls from the device. So we enable users to make those trade-offs. You know, if advertising and overlays and on-page companions and controlling all those aspects of the player experience are more important than edge-to-edge video presentation, then you can make those trade-offs with the player through the embed player rules plugin mechanism. Likewise with Android, some of the Flash implementations are don't necessarily perform well. Likewise, some of the HTML5 implementations on Android don't perform well. So we try to make the best choice possible, but then again, sometimes it comes down to trade-offs and being able to customize it where you want to be able to customize it. We have a basic adaptive streaming support through the normal Apple iOS HLS format, and some of the recent Androids, like Android 3 and above, started to support it as well. Part of what we do is also support this through desktop stream, just sort of with a little YouTube-like quality switcher. Of course, Kaltura handles all the transcoding and management of flavors so that you can easily have sort of a profile that optimize for desktop and mobile delivery. But one of the big things to manage within your delivery of experiences to HTML5 platform is sort of having good concept of different grades of support across the platform. So we have sort of like grade A browsers, which we characterize as like fully supporting the functionality of the HTML5 player. This includes everything from overlays to custom controls and ads and analytics and everything fully supported. Those are characterized as the desktop HTML5 browsers and iOS, iPad. Then we have the concept of grade B browsers, which are the iPhones and the Androids that don't really give you DOM overlays on the players. So they have some limitations around that, and sometimes they have other limitations around how the player is initially represented within the page. And once you play, it generally takes up the full screen, and you don't have controls over overlays or hiding the control bar to skip ads and things like that. And then we have sort of like the low-grade browsers that we just sort of focus on just delivering video to them. So we have just, for Blackberries, for example, that don't have HTML5 and don't have Flash, we just give them a link to the video file through a special RTSP delivery mechanism, and they can play the video file. And then and we have a fallback for Internet Explorer 8 and 8 through 6, which lets you use HTML controls on top of IE, but that's not a very commonly used thing, but it's part of the overall support of the library to be able to let you use HTML controls on browsers going back to before video tag was well supported. And likewise, older versions of Firefox and Opera are not always supported with all the features of the grade A browsers.